So in simple words, we can say test case contains steps that we need to perform on the application. Okay, so what are the steps that we need to perform on the application? Those steps are written in form of a test case. So I'll just give you a simple example of a test case. So you have this calculator. I want to verify this plus button is working fine. So to do that, what are the various steps you do? So these are the different steps that you will basically do. The first step is you will click any button between 0 to 9. So assume you are clicking on this 8. So you will say as a first step, that click on 8 button. Then you will say as a second step, click on plus button. You will say as a third step, saying like click on 2 button. This is your third step. And then you will say as a fourth step, click on equal to button. And the fifth step is that 10 should be displayed here as a output. That 10 should be displayed as a output here. So what are all these things? Clicking on 8, clicking on plus, clicking on 2, clicking on equal to, verifying here 10 is displayed. This everything are nothing but your test case. So that is the reason I'm saying test case contains the steps that we need to perform on the application. Right. So what are all this? First step, second step, third step, fourth step, right? All these are nothing but the steps. All those are nothing but a steps. So 1 to 4 are nothing but steps. Now, verifying whether 10 is displayed here, that is called expected result. That is called expected result. So whenever you are writing a test case, now in your test case, you will have test case has steps. So first thing is steps, and the second thing is expected result. So these are the two things. So test case has steps and expected result. Now the people will say, can we test without test case? Can we test without test case? Yes, as well as no. So why yes and no? Why not only yes, or why not only no? So here is the thing. So first we'll try to understand why this test case is actually needed. What will happen if you are not coming out with the test cases? So consider, so after all this COVID things and everything is sorted out, I have a plan of visiting my home country. I have a plan of visiting India. So I'm saying that to my friends or relatives which is there in India, saying like I have a plan of coming to India somewhere in the month of January. Okay, so what immediately my friends and relatives said is, so I have close to, let's say if I calculate everybody, I have close to 30 people. 30 people. So maybe few of them are my friends, few of them are my relatives, everybody. Now I called to the first person, and the first person asked me to get an iPhone. And I called to the second person. So this person is having a habit of collecting different types of brand shirts. So he is asking me to get some shirts. So I'm calling to the 10th person. He is asking me to get some cookies. So in this cookies also, he told me 10 different types of cookies. Now I'm calling to the 11th person. He ordered me to bring some chocolates. So 12th person, he ordered me to get some liquor, right? So different people, when I call to 30 people, all 30 people have given me different items to be purchased from here, and I need to take it to them. Okay, so the mistake that I have done is every person, whoever has ordered me to get or whoever has requested me to get. So I was planning to do the shopping on my last week before I travel. So right now I started calling them. They told me to bring this, and then my plan is to do the shopping on the last week before I go. So what I do is on the last week before I travel to India, I went to the shop. Now my mind is completely blank. So it's not completely blank. Maybe out of 30 items, I could able to remember only 20 items. So he ordered me to get different types of cookies, different types of chocolates. I couldn't able to remember. So I can call that person. I can call my relative or a friend, and I can ask him what he asked for. But let's say if I'm doing it on the last day, one day before I go for India, and that person, due to some reasons, his phone was not working or some kind of things might have happened. So what will happen? I'll go to India. Okay, I'll go to India. When I visit this person, as I did not get any items for him, he will not talk to me. Like, this is the typical mentality of a human being, right? So when somebody has frustrated with you, they will stop talking to you, right? So this is what happened in my case. Okay. Now what I'm trying to explain here is with this simple example. Suppose if you have a checklist with you. Suppose if you have a checklist with you. With that checklist, you know which shop to go, what items to be purchased, and 99.9% you will not miss any of the items to be purchased. If that item is not available, it's a different story. But if the item is available, you will not miss any of the item to be purchased. So what I am trying to say here is, let's say they ask you to test 30 requirements. They ask you to test 30 requirements. And for the 30 requirements, you can have some 40 different scenarios that you can test. 40 different scenarios that you can test. If you prepare a checklist like this whenever you have a time, you will not miss any of the thing to be tested if that feature is actually available. Maybe out of 40 scenarios, 39 scenarios you tested successfully, but one scenario you couldn't able to test. Why? Because developer mistake is he hasn't implemented that option there. So I have all the items to be purchased. If items are available, I can shop. If any of the item is not available, if that product itself is not coming, if that product itself is not manufactured, then I cannot get that item. Similarly here, if everything is developed, I can test it because I have a checklist prepared with me. If something which I miss, I have a reason that yes, this particular feature is not yet implemented. That is the first thing. Second thing is, let's say I haven't prepared a checklist like this. So your scenario is 30 requirements you need to test. But for 30 requirements, you need to test 40 scenarios. This is what you have prepared a checklist. You did not prepare a checklist. Out of 40 scenarios, you tested 35 successfully, but you missed 5. So here I missed one item to take to India or 2 items to take to India. What those people will do? They will stop talking to me. So you haven't tested 5 scenarios. Now, when you haven't tested 5 scenarios, what your client will do? The client will not say anything at this time. So you will send that application with only 35 options tested. Now 5 options you haven't tested. Now your customer, one of the customer has complained that these 5 options are not working for me. So that customer will approach the client will approach your QA manager, and your QA manager will not stop talking to you. Your QA manager will throw you out of the company. Okay, your QA manager will throw you out of the company because he will say, what kind of testing you have done? What is the point of me keeping you when you are not doing a proper work? So these are the consequences that you have if you don't have a test case with you. So that is the reason for any project, what we suggest is, even before you do automation testing, your test cases are mandatory to be written, and your test cases should be detailed and clear enough. Without having the test cases in front of you, or without having the test cases in your project, there are high chances of missing few scenarios. That is the whole reason why test case is so important when you are working. Right? So let's see how we can write those test cases. So this is about your definition of a test case. These are the things that you have. And if somebody asks you, can we test without test case? The answer is yes. But immediately you have to tell them saying like, no, I don't recommend, because there are chances like we can miss few scenarios. So the immediate question will come to you, what if like when you are writing test cases, you miss some scenarios to be covered? Okay, when you are writing a test cases, you missed a few scenarios to be covered. What will happen once your test cases are written? Before you do the testing, your expert who is sitting on top of you has reviewed the test cases. So during this time, he can let you know that, you know what, Naresh, you are supposed to cover 50 scenarios for these many requirements, but you covered only 40 scenarios. Why don't we go back and then include 10 more scenarios? That will happen here, but we will see a separate discussion on that, what exactly mean by this. So you have to say yes, we can test, but the consequences are there are chances of missing the test cases. Now that we are anyways overcoming when my lead was reviewing the test cases, so that I have a confidence that my testing will not go wrong. Generally what people they say is, as soon as they ask a question, can we test without having a test case, they will immediately say no, that's it. But they don't explain why you are saying no. That also you need to explain. All right. Okay. So let's see how we can write a test case. So in order to write a test case, there are some test case design techniques. There are some test case design techniques. People also will call them as testing techniques, or they can also call black box testing techniques. They can call with either of these three names: test case design techniques, testing techniques, or black box testing techniques. Coming to this, so there are two different types of test case design techniques. One is called as equivalence class partition, which is called as ECP. Then we have boundary value analysis, which is called as BVA. So these are the two techniques that you have. One is called as equivalence class partition, and the second is boundary value analysis. So both are used for writing the test cases only. So why we are using these techniques? The below techniques are used when we are writing test cases. So you can also say the below techniques are used in order to write the test cases. Anything is fine. Okay, so these are the two techniques. So let's see today how the equivalence class partition will look like. And with that, we will write some few test cases. We will come back to boundary value analysis in tomorrow's session. And during that time, we are going to see how to write a few more test cases. Like you can write test cases by yourself. I'll give you some assignments where you have to write. We'll understand this boundary value analysis in tomorrow's session, and then we will take it from there. Okay, so coming to your equivalence class partition. So one thing you have to remember about the below techniques is we can apply below techniques only where we have to test with a range of inputs. So wherever we can test with range of inputs, there you can apply equivalence class partition or boundary value analysis. Examples are this. So the first example is, so per day customer can transfer $1,000. Okay, now what I mean by $1,000 is he can transfer somewhere from $1 to $1,000. We can apply equivalence class partition or boundary value analysis for this. Second is person age should be between 18 to 60 to get an insurance. So here we can apply. Third is username will accept anything between 4 to 10 characters. 4 to 10 characters. So this is also where you can apply equivalence class partition. So there are cases where we cannot apply, not applicable. So those not applicable are, first, email ID should be valid. Here you can't apply. Second is password will be, or password is test1234. You can't apply. You can't apply. Third, username is admin. You can't apply equivalence class partition. Example is this. So here if you see, it will take only admin as a username and password as admin1234. If you type anything else, it will not allow you. Now suppose if you are typing this as username, this as password, click on login, it will not allow you. Now suppose if I say admin123, it will allow you to log in. But are they talking about the range? Okay, are they talking about a range? Nowhere they are talking about a range. If you see this, if you go to the same application, log out, they are not saying the range that username will be between this much to this much, password will be between this much to this much. So in those cases, you cannot apply equivalence class partition there. So these are the valid reasons, or these are the valid cases where you can apply equivalence class partition. These are the cases where you cannot apply equivalence class partition there. Right? So by keeping these things, we have to basically come out with a equivalence class partition. There is a formula that we follow. So with that, we need to apply the equivalence class partition. So I'll take few examples. So the example is, so I'm taking this example. Okay, second example, 18 to 60, the person should not get insurance. So let's say 18 to 60 is the valid range. So we will divide it into multiple partitions. So this is your first partition, this is your second partition, and this is your third partition. So for the second partition, sorry, for the first partition, I'm going to test somewhere between 1 to 17 years of old. I'm going to test here 61 to 65 years of old. 61 to 65 years of old. Here I'm going to test with 18 to 60 years of old. Okay, now from this you pick any number. Let's say I'm picking number as 10. So I'm going to ask a person whose age is 10 years of old to apply for a insurance. The insurance company will say that, sorry, excuse us, because we are not giving some insurance for the people whose age is less than 18 and greater than 60. So this one you'll test with 10, age of 10. So here you'll test with 25. So 25 is somewhere between 18 to 60. And here you will test with, let's say, 63. So why not 62? Why not 64? Why only 60? Even you can test with 62 and 64 also. But I'm picking some number between 61 to 65. I'm picking some number between 18 to 60. I'm picking some number between 1 to 17. Right? So this is one thing, this is other thing you test, and this is another thing you test. Now, actually, we call this, whatever you are testing below 18, this is called negative testing. This is called positive testing. And this is called negative testing. And people will generally tell in the interview saying like, I have done a testing called positive testing. Positive testing, by the way, is not a type of testing. Positive testing has to be done for every combination. And negative testing is other kind of testing I did. Both are absolutely wrong. So positive testing, yes, there is a word called positive testing. There is a word called negative testing. So for every scenario where you are testing, you will do both positive and negative. Right? So you don't need to specifically say like, I wrote positive test cases, negative test cases. So what you can rather say is, I have done functional testing, regression testing, retesting, all those are different types of testings. So positive and negative are one kind of testing you are doing in functional. And whatever you are doing now is a functional testing. You are testing for the functionality, saying like, I am typing 10 as age, you are entering some input. And when you click on submit, that's nothing but action you are doing, right? So that is what you are doing. So this is the scenarios that you will be testing for this 18 to 60. Now, similarly, if you are taking another example, person whose age is like username will be between 4 to 10 characters. So for this, I'm taking the scenario now. So I'm saying 4 to 10 is your input, right? So this is second partition. I'll have one partition here, another partition here. So one partition will be between 1 to 3. Another partition will be between 11 to 15. Why only 15? Can I take 20 also? Yes, you can take. But you are taking the nearest value. So you pick any number between 1 to 3. Let's say 2. You will pick some number between 1 to 10. Let's say 6. 11 to 15. Let's say 13. And this is called negative testing. This is called positive testing. And this is called negative testing. This is called negative testing. Right? So same is with this also. 1 to 1000. So you will pick some number, let's say 500. You will test with 0. You cannot transfer $0, but you will test with $0. And you will also test with 1100. Here also you should not able to transfer the money, right? So this is also called as equivalence class partition. But if you take this password as test1234, this is your password. How you are going to partition this, which is not possible. That's the reason I said you will not apply equivalence class partition for this, because it is not a range of inputs that it is talking about. So this is all about your equivalence class partition that you have. And with this, we need to write some test cases for one of the SRS document that I'll be showing you now. Any questions before I move on with that SRS document? Okay. All right. So let me clear off this and let me open one SRS document. Even this SRS document, I'll be sending it today by end of the session. So let me go here to training, manual testing, and I will open one simple SRS document to start off with. Okay, so here it is partially like a official document, but your SRS document will have more than this. Okay, we are starting with a very simple SRS document to come out with writing of test cases. So if you understand the concepts here thoroughly, then you can understand with any SRS document you get. That's the primary focus. So ticket reservation is the name of your application. Tickets reservation is the name of the application, and the version number is 1.0. So that means this is for build 1.0. Author who wrote this particular SRS document is Alex. So he is the BA. He wrote this SRS document. And this is for login, and this is how your login screen would look like. So this is a simple window based. Okay, this is a simple window based application, and that you will get to know with the description they write. So they will write some description on the top. With the description you can make like it's a window based application and so on. So here you need to understand few terminologies here. So few terminologies are, so this one where you are typing something, right? So you can type something here, right? So this one is called as text field. This one is called as text field, or it is also called as input field. And these are called buttons. This one and this one is a button. This one and this one are called as buttons. And once we have done with this, this is called dialog box. This is called dialog box. So why it is called a dialog box is, always remember, your dialog box will not have these buttons: minimize, maximize, and close buttons. It will not have all these three buttons. But your dialog box can have only close button. Okay, your dialog box can have only close button, or it can have without close button also. Okay, it can have with close button or without close button. Now suppose if you have minimize, maximize, and close button, these are called windows. I'm repeating again, if you have minimize, maximize, and close buttons, those are called windows. If you have only close button or without close button, that's called as a dialog box. So with that, this is a dialog box. This is a dialog box, right? Because it's not having any of the button, or it is not having close button. Now here are the requirements. Clicking on cancel button will close the login dialog box. That means when somebody is clicking on cancel button, this dialog box should be closed. This dialog box should be closed when they click on this cancel button. So what generally people they think is, cancel button is when you have some data entered, it will clear. That is not called as cancel button. That is called as reset button. Reset button is different than cancel button. So your cancel button is which will closes that particular window or dialog box. That's called as cancel. So clicking on cancel button will close the login dialog box. Agent name field will accept the input between 4 to 10. They can type anything between 4 to 10. All right, they can type anything between 4 to 10. Okay, password field will accept the input as Mercury. So that means here in this application, password should be entered as Mercury only. It cannot accept any other thing apart from Mercury. Now, if agent name and password is correct, that means if they type the agent name correctly between 4 to 10, and if they enter the password correctly, saying like Mercury, and if they click on OK button, it will display the flight reservation window. Okay, if agent name and password is incorrect, it will display flight reservation window. Sorry, is correct, it will display the flight reservation window as below. So this is how your flight reservation window would look like. If agent name and password is incorrect, that means if they type the agent name wrongly, not between 4 to 10, or if they type the password wrongly. So if agent name and password is incorrect, or if either of them are incorrect, it will display error message as please enter the valid agent name and password. If agent name is entered wrongly, password is entered wrongly, or if agent name is entered correctly, password is wrong, or if agent name is wrong, password is correct, and if they click on OK button, it will display the error message as please enter the valid agent name and password. Okay, so these are the requirements that has been given to you. Based on these requirements, we have to come out with writing the test cases. Okay, now couple of things we need to understand here. Whenever you are going through the requirements, you can find some issues in the requirements. Issue says, if you see, if agent name and password is correct, it will display flight reservation window as shown below. Now, actually, this requirement has to be if agent name and password is entered correctly, clicking on OK button, will display flight reservation window. So this thing is missing. I'm highlighting in red color. This thing is missing. Now, maybe you can have something missing here. If agent name and password is incorrect, or if either of them are incorrect. So here it should be, if agent name and password is entered incorrectly, is entered incorrect, or if either of them are entered incorrect, clicking on OK button, will display error message as so and so. Now I modified. So what I did, I modified a requirement. So in real time, you will not modify any requirement. Suppose you know that there is some mistakes in the requirements. So that is called with a terminology. So that terminology is called as, so requirement analysis, that terminology is called as gap analysis. So gap analysis is finding the mistakes in the requirements. So finding or identifying the mistakes in the requirements, that's called as gap analysis. So we do gap analysis, okay, when you are writing your test cases. Okay, so before you write test cases, you will do the gap analysis. So generally what the people they do is, this is what the unexperienced people will do. So let's say there are around 10 requirements given to you. So these 10 requirements are given to you somewhere on 2nd December. 2nd December, your lead is coming to you in the morning around 10 a.m. and he is giving you these 10 requirements and he is asking you to write requirements. So all the unexperienced people, what they generally do is, oh, 10 a.m. my lead has come to me and he has given me the requirements. So I need to prove that I'm an experienced guy in front of him. So what I'll do is, right from 10:05 a.m. in the morning, I'll be keep on writing the test cases. By 4 p.m. in the evening, I'll submit my test cases and I will take up some new work. I'll take up some new work. This is what I'm going to adapt with. This is absolutely very big mistake that every one of them they do. So what generally the experienced person will do is, he will get the requirements, he will do gap analysis. He will do gap analysis. He will find out the gaps in the requirements. So when he find the gaps in the requirements, he will have a meeting with the BA. He will have a meeting with the BA. So there is a meeting between BA and QA. So for this meeting, even your lead might be part of it, QA lead. Even your QA lead will be part of it. So when every one of them, they are part of this meeting, gap analysis meeting, now the QA will ask what all the different questions that needs to be asked to the BA. So that is called as gap analysis I was mentioning about. So once you do the gap analysis, once you go through your requirements, once your requirements are complete, then only you will go ahead and write with test cases. They have given you a task, but nobody would expect that to be completed over a day. Maybe you take around 1 to 2 hours of time to go through the requirements. From there, you can start with writing the test cases and so on. But as soon as the requirements are given to you, nobody would go and they start with writing the test cases. So that is one of the big mistake that most of them are doing in the current world, right? So that's one thing that I want to highlight. And there is a meeting called gap analysis meeting. So these are all the different things that you need to remember. So gap analysis will be there. As part of this, you are finding the gaps in your requirements. There are a couple of other meetings also we will go through, but this is one thing that I want to explain in your requirement analysis. Okay, so let's see how we can write the test cases for these requirements given to us. Okay, right? So now your requirements are complete. Now you need to start with writing the test cases. Now, how do you write a test case? There is a template called test case template. Okay, so we can write test cases in either of these three places. We can write test cases in Excel sheets. We can write test cases in Jira. We can also write test cases in Quality Center. You can also write test cases in the Quality Center. You can write it in either of these three places: Excel sheets, Jira, or Quality Center, either of these three. So in today's session, we will see how to write test cases in Excel sheet. Then we will see how to do it in Jira in our Jira classes, and in Quality Center classes, we will see how we can do it in Quality Center. So whatever place where you are writing the test case, like your Excel sheet, it is called as test case template. So when you go for an interview, they can ask you a question saying like, can you explain your test case template? Okay, if you say like I was writing test cases in Excel sheet, generally 99% of the people they do it in their day-to-day life. So people they say like, no, we have Quality Center, we will directly do in Quality Center. That will not happen in the reality, and even directly in Jira will not happen reality. So first they will write it in Excel sheet. From there they will bring it to the Quality Center and everywhere. So today's session we are primarily focusing on how to write test cases in the Excel sheet only. And that I'm going to show you with some template, with some predefined template that is available. And this test case template, this is not a global template across the world. So every organization has its own templates. If you go to some XYZ company, they have their template. If you go to my company, if somebody is working for my company has my own template, right? So different companies has different templates. So let's see one common template, how it will look like, right? So let me open uh, 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 test case template. Okay, hold on guys. I want to clear off few things. Okay, so this is your test case template, and this template also will be emailed to you, and you can use this template. So let me save this template. So I'm saving it as login underscore 2nd December 2020. Okay, so this is your test case template, and the interviewer will ask you what are the different columns or what are the different fields that you have in your test case template. These are the various fields. Okay, so now you will start filling these fields. So project name is, your name of the project is tickets reservation, right? You will write it here. Tickets reservation, and the version number, version 1.0. This is your version number, right? So first what we'll do is we will understand how many test cases can be written for this. How many requirements can be written for these requirements? Okay, so let's first write it here for our reference sake. This is only for our reference sake I'm writing here. So if you see, there is a requirement where agent name can accept between 4 to 10. Now there is another requirement where password is Mercury, and there is a cancel button. If somebody is clicking on cancel button, application should be closed. I'm talking about this requirement, I'm talking about this requirement, and I'm talking about this requirement. So what about this requirement? This requirement is nothing but your expected result. When you enter the agent name and password correctly, when you click on OK button, this window will be displayed. I would call this as a expected result. Now coming to this, when you are entering the wrong username and password, or you are entering the wrong username, correct password, or you are entering the correct username, wrong password, when you click on OK button, this is what the message it is expecting to be displayed, right? This is also called as your expected result. So I have taken these three as my requirements. So for these three things, we need to find out the multiple combinations that can happen. So always the trick is this, whenever you are writing a test case. So always the trick is, let's say you have a username field, you have a password field, you have a confirm password. Like this, you have multiple fields. We write the test cases on the field level validations. So what is a field level validation is, one field you will take at a time. That means you will enter this wrong, rest of the things as correct. Next you will take this as correct, this as wrong, and this as correct. This has correct, this has correct, and this has wrong. So when you are saying like username, I'm going to test with negative. Password and confirm password should be with positive. That is called as field level validations. So always you get more results for your field level validations. Okay. So what I would do is, I want to apply equivalence class partition for this, but I cannot apply for this. So let's apply equivalence class partition for this. I'm saying here agent name, I'm going to enter as Naresh. Password, I'm going to enter as Mercury, and then I will click on OK button. So here I am trying to write a positive case where agent name is correct, which is Naresh, password is correct, which is Mercury, and then click on OK button. This is your positive case. Then I'll click on cancel button. I'm going to click on cancel button. I need to click on cancel button. That's also positive. These are positive cases. Now I want to write the negative cases. So what are negative cases? Negative cases is, now in this I'll apply equivalence class partition. Agent name, I'm going to enter NA, which is less than 4. Now agent name is wrong, but password I am going to take correct. Mercury, and then click on OK button. Now I'll take agent name, which is nothing but NARESHKUMAR. So it should be between 4 to 10. Here I am entering what? Naresh is 6, Kumar is 5, 11, 1 to 13. Password, I am going to type Mercury, which is valid, and click on OK button. Right, so agent name is wrong, password is correct, and then clicking on OK. Now you applied equivalence class partition for this both. Now I will take password as wrong. So that means I will enter agent name as Naresh, password as test1234, and click on OK. Where here we are saying password is wrong, but agent name is correct. Now I will say agent name and password, leave blank. You are not going to enter anything, and then click on OK. Then click on OK, which is called also as negative case. Can we write any other negative cases here? Yes. Agent name, leave blank, password, Mercury, and then click on OK button. Now agent name, I'm going to enter correct details. Password, I'm going to leave blank, and then click on OK button. Right? So can we write any other test cases apart from this? Like, these are not test cases, by the way, these are the combinations that we are building, and these combinations to be built are not mandatory. These are only the combinations, positive combination and negative combinations we are building, and this building of these combinations are not mandatory. It is only for your reference sake you are building, nothing else. Can we have any more combinations beyond this? I don't think so. We covered every combination, right? Okay, so let's put this as test cases. So 1, 2, 3 test cases we will try to put it. I'll try to write the first test case, agent name as Naresh, password as Mercury, click on OK button. So this is called as one test case, TC1. But how many steps we have in this? Agent name as one step, password as second step, clicking on OK button. 3 steps I have. One test case can have multiple steps. So I'll go here, date on which you are writing a test case. So 2nd December 2020. Author, person who is writing the test case, Naresh. Module name, if you see the module name is, this is your module name. For login you are writing. So you will go here and you will say module name as login. Test case ID. So every organization has different way of writing test case IDs. Some people they will say TC1, TC2, TC3, like this. Whereas in some companies, they will have a test case ID with the name of the application, TR, tickets reservation. I'm writing it in a short way called TR, underscore your module name. Login is the module name, underscore. I'm writing the first test case, TC1. Okay, TC1 underscore. And here you are going to write the name of the test case. I want to write for valid agent name, password, clicking on OK button. Valid agent name, valid password, clicking on OK button. I'll say like valid login details. Valid login details. Now, suppose you have to type the agent name, password, and then click on OK button. If you have to type agent name, password, click on OK button, this application should be opened. Okay, so that is one example. Let's say I have to transfer $100 from my checking account to savings account. From checking to savings, I need to transfer $100. So to do this, what will be my precondition? Person has to log in, and person should have a minimum of $100 in his checking account. These are the two preconditions. Okay, another precondition is in a very layman terms. Let's say this is the table. This is the table. Okay, so where I'm sitting on this table, not on this table, there is also a chair. I'm sitting on a chair and I want to eat some food on this table. What should be there? First of all, food should be present here. To eat, I need to have food. To enter the agent name, password, click on OK button. This login should be opened. To transfer $100 from my checking account to savings account, $100 should be there. Those are called preconditions. So I am writing that precondition here, saying like login. Login is the name of the application, like name of the module. Login, agent name, password, OK, cancel. These are all the field names. Field names, and the data always we put it in double quotations like this. Login, dialog box should be opened, and login, keeping it in double quotations is not mandatory. Without double quotations also you can write, but always we keep the name of the fields, the data that you are testing, everything in double quotations. This is your precondition. And here I'm writing the description. Checking for valid login credentials. I'm checking for valid agent name and password. I can say agent name as password, agent name and password as credentials. I'm checking for the valid credentials. As I said, we have 3 steps, 2, 3. First step is enter agent name as Naresh. So agent name is the name of the field and Naresh is the value that I am typing. Enter password as Mercury. Second step. Third step, click on OK button. This is my third step. Enter agent name as Mercury, enter agent name as Naresh, password as Mercury, click on OK button. Now, what is your expected result when the details are correct? When agent name is entered correctly, password is entered correct, clicking on OK button will display flight reservation window. So you will write here flight reservation window should be displayed. So always when we write a test case, you will write only until expected result. Actual result and all those things will not be applicable at this point. Only from this to this you will write test cases. Actual result and other things will come later when you are testing. So this is one test case.